Welcome back, guys. It is so humid down here, the lens just fogged. I had to go back in and I had to clean it up. Anyway, I'm off to work. Today's video, Q&A episode number 3. I can't believe I just did that so energetic. I'm so incredibly tired. Thanks to my buddy Ryan, I got some Death Wish coffee. So thanks, Ryan. Thanks to your very nice gift. I have a funny feeling today is gonna be a really good day. It even came with a sticker. All right, I got some work to do. Oh, before we get to work, I forgot to mention, I'm John Maxwell, and I'm the highly trained unprofessional right here at Chattahoochee Harley Davidson. And on this channel, I bring you guys to work with me. So if you want to learn more about Harley Davidson, you should hit the subscribe button right now. All right, today's first question actually comes from Big Johnson _79, which there's 2 reasons why I picked this one. One, because he asked about wheel bearing maintenance, and I happen to be doing wheel bearings today. I also picked this one because, dude, Big Johnson, I don't know, it's just funny to me. But I picked it because a couple weeks ago, we talked about Harley dealers versus old bikes. Remember, the thumbnail looked like this? Well, the new wheel bearings don't really require maintenance. I'll show you, a new wheel bearing in a minute, but the old ones were legit maintenance intensive. See, in the early 2000s, I think 2000 or 2001, they swapped to sealed wheel bearings, but prior to that, they had Timken bearings. Now, Timken bearings require getting fresh grease every 10,000 miles. The bearing and race are actually separate from each other, so you have to beat the race into the wheel first with a bearing install tool. You have to pack the bearing with grease because it comes dry in the packaging. Then you have to set everything in the wheel in an axle with spacers, torque to spec to check in play. Now, you set in play using little shims, and there's a little spacer with a collar on it. So to set the in play though, you have to have shims and you have to have a spacer so that, with a little shoulder on it. That way, all of that torque from the axle and spacers is on the inner race of the bearing, not the bearing itself, because that would damage the bearing. Well, all that setup and all that extra maintenance and all that, well, it's labor intensive, there's some cost involved and yada yada. Well, so I guess that's really kind of what he means about bearing maintenance, but I don't know. I got both of them to show you, so I figure I'll show you both and we'll compare them. I can't even set the in play because I need shims from the parts department. So while Rob's taking care of that for me, we'll have a quick word from our sponsors. Fresh news, Vikings just went through a really massive update with new RPG elements and a new hero. You gotta check it out. If you remember the top strategy and RPG games of the 90s and 2000s, which we were all crazy about, you will definitely enjoy Vikings. The game gives you an option to choose your own playstyle, and that's amazing. Build an impregnable city and raise economy, use your diplomacy skills to rule the world or just gather with friends, build a huge army, and destroy enemy castles, which is easily my favorite part. You got to try Vikings. Play it now for 5 minutes and see why me and over 12 million players are so addicted to it. So grab your axe or your phone or whatever and go play Vikings. It's totally free, and you can find me there by the name The Harley Tech. Help support my channel today. Download Vikings from the links below in the description and get your initial protection shield for free and my special bonus of 200 gold for a fast and successful start. All right, I'm roughly 1/1000th away from where I want to be. Double check the old manual. So using what few spacers I have, I want to go to like 0.03. If I'm at 0.034, I want to go to if you can read that 0.035 now. So I'm good. That's just what I wanted.
That, my friends, is 0.003. Perfect. Sealed wheel bearings are a different ball game. There's no spacer measuring, anything like that. Maintenance-wise, sealed wheel bearings are far superior. They require virtually none. Now, they don't typically last as long, but you know, you still got to check them, right? So generally, they get checked right now when I put them on this balancer. Bad ones sound like this. Yep, that should sound like nothing. So, yeah. There's another way to check them too, though. For you guys at home that don't have a balancer machine, like if you were to say take your wheel and tire off bike and then just take it up to the shop separately, you can still check your wheel bearings. I'll show you how. You pretty much just stick your finger all up in there and roll it around. You'll feel it. This is the bad one. You can look right at it and tell. See all that disgustingness? Obviously it's bad. Jim's wheel bearing tool. Now, that looks totally insane, pulling a bearing out like that or smashing a bearing out like that, but the reality is that you can't reuse them anyway because you pull them out using the inner race and you install them using the outer race. So you damage the play that's in the bearing, 2000s as a matter of fact. So, you know, it is what it is. That's faster. That's how I do it. Where are my new bearings? In front of my face. Hey, Rob. Yeah. Why do I have one new bearing?
Where's the sand in the box?
Package quantity 1. Realize I'm not really in frame here. So I'm gonna push this in. Put a little oil on the outside. Now, you don't get to hammer new bearings in. You draw them in nice and slow using the Jim's tool. Now, I know this has been heavily edited, but as you can see, sealed wheel bearings are considerably easier to deal with. Now, one thing to note too, just like the Timken bearings had a special note in the service manual not to put the spacers anywhere but the sprocket side, the service manual for the sealed wheel bearing models is going to tell you to install the primary bearing side first. Just one of the many reasons why it's important to actually own a service manual. So keep that in mind. And I'm waiting on the other bearing because Rob only pulled one because he don't count good. I wonder what my next question should be.
Woo, last Q&A video I did a little bit on a 2018 Street Glide that I just put new handlebars on. Tons of questions about the handlebars, and I totally meant to like put what they were in there and I never did, I guess, apparently. So anyway, this motorcycle, I do a lot of handlebar jobs. This 2018 Street Glide, brand spanking new, 289 miles. It has the 14-inch Yaffe or monkey bars made by Paul Yaffe. I know the GoPro kind of messes up kind of angles and stuff, but to give you an idea, this is 14 inches and I am about 5'10", and they are beautifully right across from my shoulders, which is extremely comfortable. So me personally, I like this height better than the Harley Davidson Chisels.
But the Harley Davidson Chiseled is really comfortable on the wrist angle. If you notice in this overlay video of mine that it's a very comfortable bike, but it does require fairing mirrors to be moved. This guy actually wanted his fairing mirrors removed also, but I don't even really know why. He just wanted, I don't know, and he didn't even say he wanted them below. I just, doesn't take but a few minutes to change them, and that's how I felt like running them, because I think it looks cool. But whatever, it's not even my bike, so it doesn't really matter what I think anyway. But it's a decent starting point. Next up, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but the screenshot is here. It's about what I dislike, what the engineers kind of messed up, what I think is a sucky design. The entire softail frame. Don't forget, I own a softail. Everything on the softail, old softail, 17 and earlier, is very difficult to get to. Everything is super jam-packed, really tight. I mean, I love the bike. Like, I mean, I love my softail. I love the new softails. But as far as working on them, I think the new softail frame is borderline like engineering masterpiece. But I think it's like necessary for engineering masterpieces to be like a technician's nightmare. The flip side of that, the touring models, 14 and later touring models, are very, very easy to work on. Simple things like this footrest right here on the right side, I just took it off of this bike to pull the exhaust off to run a new hydraulic clutch line. But 06 and earlier right side footrests were an absolute pain to get off. Like where the bolt placement was, the size of the bolt was a pain. It's a 3/8 Allen from the inside, threads into the footboard bracket. It sucks. That's up to 08 that they do it like that. The frame change in 09 brought forth bolts that come from the outside in, but the front one has a nut on it. Simple things like, in the 14 and later models, the bracket, like the motor mount bracket that is attached to the frame, it has a threaded hole in it, so you don't even have a nut on the back mount. Now you just roll up with a 5/16 Allen and you're zoop zoop done, and the footboard is off. Those simple little things like that are, well, they're cool. I have one question, screenshot here, like it was same as before. I can't read it because I'm driving or riding or whatever. Hydraulic clutches, no, they are not adjustable. So what free play you have in the lever, where the friction zone is, all that stuff is, well, it is what it is, and it kind of sucks. Like I've gotten used to like setting my cable clutch on both of my bikes exactly where I want it to release and all that stuff, but you know, it is what it is. I've gotten used to the hydraulic clutches. I like the way it looks. For instance, the awesome symmetry between the left and right side of these handlebars is awesome. That's something you can't get with a clutch cable on one side and a brake line on the other. So, you know, it is what it is. To the point that I'm kind of hoping that new 2019 Softail that I want, I really hope that it comes with hydraulic clutch, to be perfectly honest. New sail, clean it up good. Bam. Boop, boop.
All right, let's take this thing apart and see. I'll show you what it actually looks like. Razor blade, the seal. This is like some skateboard bearing stuff. So good bearing, nice grease. This one rolls really, really smooth. Bad bearing, you can't even see it. Let's clean it out. Let's check the actual bearing. You can just hear how pitted they are. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get in this thing though. It's actually double caged, like, so this side you can't see the ball, that's just a cage. This side you also can't see the ball in there. It's like riveted together.
This is actually tougher than I would have guessed. So I can kind of see where the little balls are starting to pit and stuff, which is like this, which pitting is when the surface isn't smooth anymore. It's got little like divots in it, like not as extreme as a golf ball, but that's the best comparison I can think of. There's no way it's going to show up on camera. They're small. But that's when you catch sealed wheel bearings, tire changes. You could run your hand through this and tell that it was bad. So it's worth checking when you take your stuff apart. Well, that's pretty much it. I think this video has probably run plenty long enough with just a few questions answered. So maybe we'll do a rapid fire Q&A next time. You know the drill. Throw them down in the comments. The questions, that is. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a big dirty thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button, tap the bell notification so you can join the Bell Squad and get notified when I upload. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.